Food for thought. Give other people grace. Give other people the same grace that you give yourself, because you do not know what they are going through. I really like the saying, walk a mile in someone else's shoes. Or I think it's like, do not judge a man until you've walked a mile in his shoes. I think that is so true. You cannot judge somebody just from the information that you know, or based upon the information that you see. Because what they're going through could be absolutely terrible. The news they could have just received might have shattered their heart, but they still have to move on. They still have to continue with their day just like you're doing. So give them the grace. Be patient, be kind. Hold your tongue at times. Do not let your temper go from 0 to 100 just because it's inconvenient. Do not allow your emotions to flare just because someone else's actions are stemming from something that is painful. Because I think it is so important to be able to not have your perspective be about me. Well, what if I feel like this? What if I wanted to do this? What about the other person? What about the other people? At times it is very easy to get wrapped up in the idea that you are the one that the world revolves around. Yes, do not get me wrong. It does. It really does. But that's the thing. Even if you think the world revolves around you, the people who still live on that world matter. So be able to be open to change your perspective to the other person's view, to give them grace, to give them space, to be kind, rather than being nice. Because being nice is saying something that they want to hear. Being nice is doing something that is not genuinely good for the person, but it's what makes the situation fine. Being kind is still wanting the best for that person while incorporating what should be done. Or being honest with still keeping the other person's perspective in consideration. Because that is so important, to be able to meet somebody where they are. You do not have to agree. You do not have to be alike. You do not even have to be relatively similar. But you can meet halfway. You can meet them a quarter of the way. You can meet them three-fourths of the way. You can meet them wherever. You can just meet them where they are and not try to push yourself, your ideas onto them. Because it is so important to wait before you want to react. To just pause. There are many times when we want to react, and it might accelerate the situation when it didn't need to be accelerated. Think about even your own experiences. You've obviously, at least once, probably a bunch of times, have had bad mornings, bad days, bad whatever. And all of a sudden, you get to your job, you get to school, you get to wherever you're supposed to go, and you are absolutely annihilated. You by your coworkers, by your classmates, by the students around you, because they did not wait and they didn't take into consideration that you might be possibly having a bad day. I think my favorite thing, I forget what teacher it was, but I forget if it was like a high school teacher. No, it was my speech professor, or like my speech teacher. I had him, and he literally said, "I do not care if you show up to my class late. I'm just glad you're here." And he meant it. Because it is so stressful, honestly. It is so hard being a human sometimes. It is so hard. And when the world pounds on you and pounds on you and pounds on you, it gets even harder. And so having that little ray of sunshine, having that added little note of knowing that you are safe when you get somewhere, you are appreciated when you get somewhere, you know that you're not going to get pounded on, you appreciate that. So try to be cognizant of other people's environments. Try to be cognizant of what other people are going through. Because just as much as you have experienced it, you also want to make sure you're not causing it either. The flip side of having a worse day. Because that's just not fun. And that is why it's so important not to judge a man until you've walked a mile in his shoes. Food for thought.